Jake Wilson pushes open the door to his Chicago loft a week before his wedding, expecting to surprise his fiancée with an early night in. Instead, he freezes. Emily Clark stands in the hallway, stunning in a black cocktail dress, clutching a suitcase, whispering into her phone. He won't find out. Her eyes widen in panic as she spots Jake, the phone slipping from her hand. "You're early," she stammers, her voice betraying a secret she wasn't ready to share. Jake, a 32-year-old tech manager, is the kind of guy who lights up a room. Charismatic, driven, he's climbed the ranks at a cutting-edge firm in Chicago's West Loop, where glass towers and trendy cafes define the vibe. His loft, with its exposed brick and sleek furniture, reflects his success. A perfect backdrop for the life he's building with Emily, his 29-year-old fiancée. A marketing strategist at the same company, Emily is sharp, charming, with a laugh that makes everyone feel at ease. They've been together 2 years, their love a whirlwind of shared dreams. A wedding planned at a chic suburban country club, talks of a future family, and quiet evenings plotting their next adventure. To their colleagues, they're the power couple, the ones who make it look easy. But beneath Jake's confident exterior lies a shadow. In his early 20s, his first love vanished without a word, leaving him to piece together his trust. He's never told Emily the full story, but the fear of betrayal lingers, a quiet hum he's learned to ignore. Emily, with her warmth and wit, seemed to silence that fear. She's the one who remembers his coffee order, who teases him about his terrible dance moves, who makes him believe in forever. Their life together feels like a promise kept, until tonight. Jake's job keeps him on his toes, managing a team that builds apps for startups. He thrives on the pressure, the late nights, the wins that come with landing a big client. Emily's role in marketing complements his, and they often swap ideas over takeout from the Thai place downstairs. Their wedding, set for next weekend, has consumed their spare time. Invitations, caterers, a playlist Emily insists must include just one cheesy pop song. Jake's been all in, even if he groans at her taste in music. He's pictured their future so clearly. Kids running through a suburban backyard, holidays with in-laws, maybe even a dog. It's a vision that feels close enough to touch. Tonight, though, that vision cracks. Jake had skipped a client call, eager to steal a moment with Emily before the wedding chaos ramps up. He'd imagined her in sweatpants, curled up with a glass of wine, ready for a night of laughter and maybe a little wedding planning. Instead, she's dressed to kill, her suitcase packed, her phone call cut short. The air in the loft feels heavy, charged with unspoken questions. Jake's mind races. Did he miss a plan? Is this a girl's trip she forgot to mention? But her trembling hands, the way her eyes dart away, tell him it's something else. Something worse. He sets his keys down, forcing a smile. "What's going on, Em?" he asks, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. Emily's hesitation, the way she grips the suitcase handle, sets off alarms he can't ignore. For the first time in 2 years, Jake feels the ground shift beneath him, the trust he's built with her starting to fray. Whatever she's hiding, he knows it's about to change everything. Jake Wilson stands rooted in the hallway of his Chicago loft, the echo of Emily's whispered phone call, he won't find out, reverberating in his mind like a bad dream. He tries to shake off the unease, forcing a grin as he takes in her appearance. A sleek black cocktail dress hugging her frame, a small suitcase at her feet, her fingers still clutching the phone she was whispering into moments ago. "What? Did I forget a dinner plan?" He teases, his voice light, hoping this is just a mix-up, a forgotten date night he can laugh off. Emily's face pales, her eyes darting to the side as she fumbles to shove her phone into her purse. "No, it's not that," she says, her voice trembling, brittle as thin ice. I need to get away for the weekend." The words hit Jake like a cold wind off Lake Michigan, sharp and disorienting. "Get away?" he repeats, his smile slipping, the warmth in his chest fading. "With who?" He steps closer, searching her face for the Emily he knows, the one who'd curl up with him on their leather couch, laughing at his terrible puns, planning their wedding with a sparkle in her eyes. But this Emily won't meet his gaze. Her fingers tighten around the suitcase handle, knuckles whitening. "A friend from work," she mumbles, her eyes fixed on the polished hardwood floor. "Just a friend." The vagueness cuts like a blade, precise and deep. "Which friend?" Jake presses, his tone sharpening, though he fights to keep it steady. Emily shifts her weight, her heels clicking softly against the floor. "You don't know her," she says, her voice barely audible, each word dripping with hesitation. "Can we talk about this later?" Her dodge fuels the knot twisting in Jake's stomach, a sickening mix of dread and disbelief. You're leaving for the weekend a week before our wedding, and you can't tell me who you're going with?" His voice rises, betraying the calm he's trying to hold on to. He thinks of their life together, their shared dreams, the way she'd rest her head on his shoulder during late-night talks about their future, the wedding plans they'd poured their hearts into. The country club venue, the menu they debated for hours, the playlist with her one cheesy pop song he'd groaned about but secretly loved. Was it all a lie? Emily's eyes glisten with unshed tears, but she stays silent, her lips pressed into a thin line. "It's not a big deal," she insists, turning toward the door, her movements jerky, like she's fighting her own instincts. "I just need some space." The word, space, lands like a betrayal, slicing through the trust Jake thought was unbreakable. He flashes back to their moments together, her hand in his at the caterers, tasting cakes and laughing over buttercream versus fondant. Her laughter when he tried to dance at a friend's party, her teasing him about his two left feet, the way she'd whisper, "I love you," before drifting off to sleep in his arms. Had he missed the signs? Her late nights at the office, the client dinners she'd mentioned in passing but never detailed. He'd trusted her, chalked it up to her ambition, her drive to shine in the competitive marketing world. Now, those moments stack up in his mind, each one a crack in the foundation of their life. The extra hours she spent at work, the way she'd check her phone during dinner, her vague answers when he asked about her day, small things he'd brushed off, blaming wedding stress or her demanding boss. But now, doubt creeps in, cold and relentless, whispering that he's been blind. "Emily, if it's no big deal, why can't you look at me?" Jake asks, softening his tone, desperate to reach the woman he loves. He steps closer, close enough to smell her perfume, the same floral scent she wore on their first date, a memory that now feels like a taunt. Emily's shoulders tense, but she doesn't turn back. Her silence is louder than any confession, a wall growing taller between them with every passing second. Jake's mind races, replaying every moment he might have misread, every smile that might have hidden a lie. He wants to grab her, shake the truth out of her, demand answers, but her trembling hands stop him cold. She's scared, of him, of the truth, or something else entirely, and that fear cuts deeper than her words. "Emily, I deserve to know where you're going," he says, his voice firm but laced with a plea. He's begging for the truth, for a way to salvage the future they've planned. For a moment, he hopes she'll turn around, laugh it off, say it's a surprise bachelorette trip or a last-minute work thing. But when Emily finally meets his eyes, what he sees isn't love or reassurance. It's a mix of guilt and defiance, a stranger wearing the face of the woman he's set to marry. "I'll explain when I'm back," she says, her voice barely above a whisper, each word heavy with finality. She grabs her suitcase, the wheels clicking against the floor as she heads for the door, her heels echoing like a countdown. Don't walk out like this," Jake calls, his heart pounding, his voice cracking with desperation. He follows her to the threshold, his hand hovering over her shoulder but not touching, afraid of what he might do if he makes contact. She pauses, her back to him, and for a fleeting second, he thinks she'll turn around, spill everything, make this right. But she doesn't. The door swings open, and she steps into the hallway, her silhouette swallowed by the dim light of the stairwell. The sound of her heels fades, leaving Jake alone in the loft, the air thick with unanswered questions. He sinks onto the couch, staring at the spot where her suitcase stood, feeling the life he'd planned. The wedding, the family, the forever, slipped through his fingers like sand, leaving only the weight of betrayal in its place. The next morning, Jake wakes to an empty loft, the silence deafening where Emily's laughter used to fill the space. Her unanswered texts and calls, 5, 10, now 15, mock him from his phone screen. He paces the hardwood floor, the memory of her suitcase and whispered phone call gnawing at him. Determined to stay calm, he brews coffee, but the mug trembles in his hand. He can't shake the image of Emily's guilty eyes, her vague friend from work excuse. Was she lying? Is she with someone else? The questions spiral, each one tightening the knot in his chest. Desperate for answers, Jake grabs Emily's laptop from the coffee table. She left it behind, a careless mistake that feels like a lifeline. His fingers hesitate over the keyboard. Snooping feels wrong, a betrayal of the trust he's clinging to. But her secrecy leaves him no choice. He logs in, her password unchanged from the one they set together for their shared Netflix account. Her email is clean, but a messaging app pings with notifications. His heart sinks as he opens it, finding a thread with her boss, Ted Russell, a 50-year-old executive known for his charm and corner office. The messages are short but damning. "Can't wait for this weekend," Ted writes. "It's our secret," Emily replies, followed by a winking emoji. Jake's breath catches, the words blurring on the screen. A weekend getaway with her boss? The betrayal cuts deeper than he imagined. He slams the laptop shut, his pulse racing. Ted, with his tailored suits and slick smile, always lingered too long at Emily's desk, but Jake trusted her. Now the truth, or what feels like it, stares him down. He grabs his phone and dials Sarah, Emily's co-worker and their mutual friend, hoping she'll debunk this nightmare. "Hey, Jake," Sarah answers, her voice cautious. "Everything okay?" He cuts to the chase. "Is Emily with Ted this weekend?" There's a pause, too long, before Sarah stammers. She mentioned a work trip. Maybe with Ted? I'm not sure." Her hesitation betrays her, and Jake pushes harder. "Sarah, don't lie to me. What do you know?" She sighs, then spills, "They're at a hotel downtown. Ted called it a strategy retreat, but it's just them. I didn't want to get involved." Jake's world tilts. A hotel. Just them. He presses Sarah, his voice low but urgent. "What else?" She hesitates again, then admits, "I knew they were close. Ted's been mentoring her. I thought it was professional, but last week I saw them at lunch, laughing, his hand on her arm. I didn't tell you because I hoped I was wrong." Her words are a punch, but worse comes next. People are talking, Jake. The office thinks Emily's playing Ted for a promotion. The humiliation burns. His fiancée, the woman he's set to marry, reduced to office gossip, a climber trading favors for a corner office. Jake hangs up, his hands shaking, the phone nearly slipping from his grip. He paces the loft, the city skyline mocking him through the floor-to-ceiling windows. He imagines Emily with Ted, laughing in some sleek hotel bar, her betrayal unfolding while their colleagues whisper behind his back. The shame is suffocating, not just her deception, but the public stain on their life together. He thinks of their wedding, the invitations already sent, the guests who will now pity him. His anger surges, but so does a flicker of doubt. Emily's panic last night, her trembling hands, was it guilt or something else? Could Ted have manipulated her, preyed on her ambition? The thought doesn't absolve her, but it shifts the weight of his rage. That evening, Emily returns, her suitcase thudding against the floor. Jake stands in the living room, arms crossed, the laptop open on the counter. Her eyes flick to it, and she freezes. "You went through my stuff?" she accuses, her voice sharp but unsteady. "You gave me no choice," Jake snaps. "You're sneaking off with Ted? Your boss." Emily's face crumples, but she doesn't deny it. "It's not what you think," she says, her voice breaking. "He's helping me figure things out." The vagueness infuriates him. "Figure what out?" "How to ruin us," he shouts. She flinches, tears spilling, but her next words ignite the room. "Yes, I was with Ted, but it's not an affair. He's just guiding me." Jake laughs, bitter and hollow. "Guiding you? In a hotel? While the whole office thinks you're sleeping your way to a promotion." Emily's eyes widen, her hand covering her mouth, but she has no defense. The air between them crackles with betrayal, and Jake knows nothing will be the same. Jake sits in the dim glow of his Chicago loft, the sting of Emily's betrayal searing his chest. The laptop, still open to her incriminating messages with Ted Russell, sits on the counter like a silent prosecutor. He wants to scream, to confront her again, to demand why she threw their future away for her slick-talking boss. But a memory halts him. His father, a lawyer who faced injustice with steely resolve, once said, "Satisfaction comes from your mind, not your fists." Jake clenches his jaw, forcing the anger into a tight ball. He won't let Ted or Emily destroy him. He'll fight, but he'll do it the right way, with strategy and dignity. The next morning, Jake meets Sarah, Emily's co-worker, at a crowded cafe in the West Loop, far from the office's gossip mill. Sarah fidgets with her coffee cup, her eyes heavy with guilt. "I should have told you sooner," she says, her voice barely above the hum of the espresso machine. Ted's been playing Emily for months. Jake leans in, his gaze sharp. "Playing her how?" Sarah glances around, then spills the truth. Ted preyed on Emily's ambition, convincing her that her lack of confidence was stalling her career. He offered mentorship sessions, late-night meetings that blurred professional boundaries, making her believe she needed his guidance to shine in the cutthroat marketing world. "He's done it before," Sarah confesses, her voice trembling. "Other women, younger ones. I kept quiet because he promised me a promotion if I stayed out of it." Her admission hits Jake like a second betrayal. Sarah, their friend, chose ambition over loyalty, just like Emily. Jake's mind churns, piecing together Ted's manipulation. Emily's guilt last night, her insistence that Ted was helping her. It wasn't just an affair. Ted exploited her trust, her drive, twisting it into something sordid. The realization doesn't absolve Emily's choices, but it shifts Jake's focus. Ted is the orchestrator, a predator hiding behind his executive title, and Jake won't let him slink away unscathed. He thanks Sarah, his voice tight with restrained fury, and leaves with a plan forming. Back at the loft, he drafts a formal complaint to the company's HR department, meticulously detailing Ted's messages and Sarah's account. He knows the stakes. Ted's a senior executive, connected, untouchable in the eyes of many. A misstep could cost Jake his job, his reputation, maybe even his place in Chicago's tech scene. But he's past caring about the fallout. This is about justice, about exposing a man who preys on ambition. That evening, Jake attends a company networking event, a glitzy affair in a downtown skyscraper with panoramic views of the city. Ted is there, all smiles, working the room with his polished charm, shaking hands like a politician. Emily hovers on the sidelines, her eyes red, avoiding Jake's gaze as if he's a stranger. Jake's pulse pounds, his fingers tightening around a folder of printed messages, his evidence, his weapon. He could confront Ted privately, but that's not enough. Ted's crimes thrive in the shadows. Jake wants them in the light. When Ted steps to the podium to deliver a toast about leadership and trust, Jake sees his chance. "I'd like to add something," he says, his voice cutting through the chatter like a blade. The room falls silent, eyes turning to him, some curious, others wary. Jake steps forward, holding up the folder. Ted Russell's leadership isn't what it seems. He begins, his tone steady but laced with steel. "He's been using his position to manipulate employees, including my fiancée, Emily." Gasps ripple through the crowd as Jake reads the messages aloud, each word deliberate, exposing Ted's mentorship for the predatory scheme it is. "This isn't guidance," Jake says, his voice rising with controlled anger. "It's exploitation." Ted's face reddens, his charm dissolving into a scowl, but Jake doesn't flinch. He hands the folder to the HR director, who stands nearby, her expression grim, and steps back, his heart racing but his head high. The room buzzes with whispers, colleagues exchanging shocked glances, but Jake feels a weight lift. He struck a blow, not with fists, but with truth. Emily approaches him later, tears streaming down her face, her voice a broken whisper. "Jake, I'm so sorry. Ted made me think I wasn't good enough, that I needed him to succeed." She reaches for his hand, but Jake steps back, his resolve unshaken. "You chose to believe him, Emily," he says, his tone calm but firm. "You broke us, but I won't let him break anyone else." Her shoulders slump, and she nods, her voice barely audible. "I'll tell HR everything," she says, offering her testimony as a small atonement. Jake walks away, the city lights glittering outside, the weight of their shattered future still heavy but bearable. He's chosen the high road, and for the first time since that fateful night, he feels a flicker of control, a spark of hope that justice might prevail. Jake Wilson stands on the porch of his new home in the Chicago suburbs, a two-story house with a wide lawn and a cherry tree just beginning to bloom. It's a far cry from the sleek West Loop loft where his world shattered a month ago, but the quiet of this street, with its kids on bikes and neighbors waving, feels like a fresh start. The sting of Emily's betrayal and Ted Russell's manipulation hasn't faded entirely. It's a dull ache, a scar that twinges when he thinks of the life he almost had. But as the sun sets, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Jake feels a hard-won resolve taking root, a determination to rebuild on his own terms. The HR investigation, sparked by Jake's bold stand at the company networking event, has delivered justice. Ted, the once untouchable executive with his polished charm and predatory tactics, is gone. The company's review uncovered a pattern of exploitation stretching back years. Emily's testimony, paired with accounts from two other women, painted a damning picture. Ted had preyed on ambition, offering mentorship that crossed every ethical line, manipulating young professionals into compromising situations. His termination was swift, announced in a terse company-wide email that left no room for ambiguity. Chicago's tech scene, once Ted's playground, has turned its back on him. Job offers have vanished, and his name is now a cautionary tale whispered at industry meetups. Jake doesn't gloat. Revenge isn't his style, but he feels a quiet satisfaction. Truth, he's learned, has a way of dismantling lies. Emily's fall is less dramatic, but no less final. She resigned from the company, her reputation tarnished by her role in the scandal. Her ambition, once a spark Jake admired, became her undoing when she trusted Ted's promises over their shared future. She moved out of the loft the day after Jake's confrontation, leaving behind a note he never opened. It's tucked in a drawer, a relic of a life he's left behind. The wedding is canceled, the invitations recalled, the country club deposit a painful loss. Jake mourns not just Emily, but the dreams they wove together. Kids chasing a dog through a backyard, holiday dinners filled with laughter, a partnership he thought was unbreakable. Forgiveness comes, not for her, but for himself, to shed the bitterness that could poison his future. Trust, though, is a bridge he won't rebuild. That's gone, and he's at peace with its absence. Jake channels his energy into a new venture, a tech startup born from the ashes of his ordeal. His company develops AI tools to detect workplace harassment, flagging predatory behavior in corporate communications before it escalates. The idea came in the sleepless nights after the betrayal, a way to turn pain into purpose. He secured seed funding from investors drawn to his vision and his integrity, qualities that shone through when he exposed Ted without stooping to vengeance. At a recent tech conference in Chicago, Jake pitched his prototype to a packed room, his voice steady as he shared his mission. Not his personal story, but a broader call to protect workers. The standing ovation and innovation award he received felt like more than applause. It was validation, a sign he's building something that matters. Colleagues who once gossiped about Emily now seek him out, their respect evident in firm handshakes and earnest questions about his work. Sarah, the co-worker who stayed silent about Ted's actions, sends an email. "I was wrong," she writes, explaining how fear of retaliation kept her complicit. She's left the company, seeking a fresh start elsewhere. Jake doesn't respond. Forgiveness for her is a work in progress, but he saves the email, a reminder that people can confront their mistakes, even belatedly. He hears Emily has moved to Seattle, diving into therapy to untangle the insecurities Ted exploited. Jake doesn't wish her ill. He hopes she finds clarity, but her path is no longer his concern. His is here, in this new home, with a startup that could shield others from the pain he endured. One evening, Jake sits on his porch, a cool breeze carrying the scent of spring grass. The Chicago skyline glows faintly in the distance, a reminder of the life he left behind. He thinks of his father's words about justice, won through reason, not rage, and knows he's honored them. He didn't lash out, didn't let anger define him. Instead, he exposed Ted with truth, protected others, and built something meaningful. The ache of betrayal lingers, but it's quieter now, drowned out by the hum of purpose. Jake looks at the cherry tree, its buds promising new growth, and envisions a future, not the one he planned with Emily, but one he'll shape with integrity. He smiles, the curve of his lips small but genuine, knowing he's not just surviving, he's thriving, and that's the truest justice of all.